world, and welcome back to Stuff We Do, where we do all the knife stuff you love. Knife reviews, knife tests, knife modifications, and outdoor stuff with knives. Today, this video, well, maybe some of the people overseas will also like it, but today I just want to tell the South African guys a bit more about Rough Ryder knives. Okay, so first of all, when in South Africa you hear the word Rough Ryder, everybody thinks about ribbed condoms. Okay. Now, that's not what this is about. The Rough Riders. These were guys, volunteers in the army. Okay, Teddy Roosevelt, which later became Theodore Roosevelt, which later became President of the United States of America. Before that, he was the, I think, Deputy Secretary. Okay, all of the history I'm telling you now is things that I read a long time ago, so I might be off on some of it, so check me if you don't believe me, or check me because that's safer. Anyway. What's it? Trust but verify. Anyway, so he used to be the Deputy Secretary of the Navy. Yeah, I'm going to stick with that. Anyway, and at this stage, Spain was colonizing they were the colonizers in Cuba. Okay. So then he was one of the advocates to say, let's go there and kick out the Spanish, because Cuba is right next to us. Anyway, this did not fly, but eventually when the Maine, the SS Maine, whatever, the Maine, it is a big ship, an American ship, and it was in the Gulf of Havana. I think the Gulf of Havana it's at Cuba. Yes, I'm going to stick with that. Like I said, if I'm lying, just check me. Anyway, so the ship was blown up by a Spanish mine, or presumably by a Spanish mine, and then this gave America the chance to go overseas and fight on behalf of the Cubans. Okay, yeah, I think this was pretty much the start of America going into other countries to look after their own assets, if you get what I'm saying, but this is not a political video, this is a history video. Okay, so Teddy Roosevelt, he was not demoted, but he chose to go to the war himself. So they made him Lieutenant Colonel, anyway, something. So he could actually go there and fight with the men that he was going to choose. The president at that time, I cannot remember his name, he decided, yes, they needed a special group of men to go there. And then Teddy Roosevelt asked for volunteers. Okay. Lots and lots of people volunteered, but he handpicked only 2,000 men. Now, these men some of them were graduates, and some of them were, like cowboys, and some of them were from the Native American tribes, and some of them were buffalo soldiers, which is black slaves that were there and whatnot. So he handpicked 2,000 guys, prospectors, miners, mountain men, people that he thought would know what they were doing over there. Anyway, now this was supposed to be a cavalry regiment, which meant that they would be on horseback. Anyway, so his volunteers and him, they went there. Now, they couldn't take everything with them, so when they pitched up there, almost none of them actually had horses. So his cavalrymen had to walk. Also, they wore different clothes than the normal army back then. They wore blue flannel shirts with neckerchiefs, the handkerchiefs, but red ones around their necks and things like that. So they looked completely different than the regular army. They looked like cowboys. Okay, now these cowboy guys went there and they did all of their cowboy things. If I can remember correctly, initially there were a lot of things with, they struggled to get orders that they could use or follow, or definite orders from the higher ups. So initially, Teddy Roosevelt was quite upset about that. But regardless of this, they fought very bravely, although they were on foot and not what they were supposed to be. But there's a lot of cool stories around the Rough Riders. Okay, one of them was Teddy Roosevelt, because he still had a horse. He would stand out, and then people would say, yes, but the snipers would shoot you because you're the only one on a horse. And then he would say things like, that's fine. And he would sit there on his horse with his sidearm in his hand, saying, okay, if they shoot at me, see if you can figure out where that came from and then shoot them. Okay, so nice things. Oh, there was also another story before San Juan Hill. Yeah, I think that was the famous one. Like a hill, and there's lots of Spanish guys dug in there, and now the rest of the army had to go up the hill, and they were picked off like whatnot. And then at one stage, before they started this rush up the hill, Teddy Roosevelt took out his sidearm and pointed it at the normal army guys. And he said, "You better follow us up there when me and my men go up, otherwise I'm going to shoot all of you." And then his men jokingly said, "Yes, he always does that." Now, that's quite nice. Anyway, so, rootin' tootin', cowboys having war in the 1880s. I think it was towards the end of the 1880s, whatnot. Okay, so these knives are named for the Rough Riders. Okay, so that's wonderful. Now, they are made by Smoky Mountain Knife Works. Okay, all Rough Rider knives are made by Smoky Mountain Knife Works, and it's like OEM'd in China, made for a company in America. But these things are super budget, super awesome knives that you can find. Okay, and it's more traditional knives. Well, most of them. And that's why I like them so much. Anyway, the older Rough Riders. Okay, we're not going to do all of that today. I just want to show you two today. We'll go through my whole collection and my new instant collection that I got now. So eventually we'll go through all of them. I have a few videos on these guys or on guys like this already, because I only collect one pattern. Well, I'm lying. I do have a few different ones, but there's one pattern that I actually try to get everything of, and that's the hawkbill. Okay, so these are two hawkbills. Both both jigged bone. Anyway, if you look at the older ones, you will see a little horseshoe, and it will say Rough Rider, but with an I, not an Y. Okay, so these are newer ones because they have the Y in them. Okay, these are definitely not new ones. I'll show you newer or more new ones after this, but I want to show you these two today. Okay, so we have the RR305 and the RR764. Sorry, I had to look past the camera. Now, like I said, both of these are jigged bone hawkbills. And yes, I really, really like hawkbills. They are fantastic for everything that you do not do on a cutting board. Okay, and they are marvelous as biltong knives. That's why most biltong knives pretty much has this shape. Okay, look at the bone on this thing. Beautiful bone that's been jigged. We have the beautiful shield over there. We have a ringed bolster. Lanyard all at the back. Over here it says 440 razor sharp steel. Now most of these come in 440A. I do have one in 440B, and I do have one in classic carbon. I think those are the ones I have. Anyway, and then over there we see the double R, and it says Rough Rider, and on the back it gives you the model number and China. Wonderful. Now, for the amount of money you pay, minimal gapping right there at the top. Beautiful brass liners. It's the nickel silver bolsters. Wonderful looking knife. Now, this is a beautiful brown jigged bone, and this is a beautiful red jigged bone. Again, we have the same beautiful Rough Rider shield over there. Beautiful jigged red bone. That's marvelous. Same nickel silver, one ring bolster, lanyard hull, and then a beautiful, same as the other one, all of it 440A, and then a beautiful hawkbill blade. Okay. If you do not own any Rough Rider knives, you are missing out. Yes, they are made in China. Yes, they are dirt cheap. But for what you get, these things are so awesome. And the materials they use, look at that thing. There's almost no gapping anywhere. And even with a bit of gap, unless it's a custom knife, you're getting exactly what you need. If you put your finger up there, there's no way it's going to close on you, but it's a hawkbill. You're putting all the direction, all the force in that direction. So this thing will never close on you. This beautiful sway back style handle. This thing is fantastic in both grips, and like I said, fantastic for cutting biltong. Everybody should know how to work with a slip joint knife. If you do not own slip joint knife, or if you have never used a slip joint knife because you say it's going to close on you, how did our forefathers live up to today and have so many fingers? Actually, one day I should tell you all about my finger scars. I cut off 2 of them pretty much all the way at one stage. Okay, but we'll talk about that in a different video. So, just a little bit of history on Rough Ryder knives, where it came from, where the name came from, and I wanted to show you these 2 beautiful ones as part of my bone knives now. Okay, all of you stay safe, happy. Have a good one. Goodbye.